A doctors of Reddit, which of your patients came the closest to winning a Darwin Award? Burns are fun. 1. Decided the gas in the car was dead and threw a few gallons on a bonfire to get rid of it. Spent a month in the burn unit. When he woke up, he told his elderly dad to go ahead and burn the rest of that old gas out back so we can get the car started. I had a long conversation with him. 2. High on shrooms. A man jumped chest first into a fire pit. Miraculously he was saved by his friends with seemingly minor injuries, and then immediately turned around and jumped back into the pit. 3 months in the burn unit. Man, the multiple times I did shrooms all I did was chill out, listen to music and enjoy the experience. I never had the urge to even leave my house. Closest, I had a patient who needed me to complete his home circumcision. Home circumcision? But why? One of my patients came in with 2nd and 3rd degree burns all the way up his right arm. It was winter and his pickup wouldn't start, so he put a match in the gas tank to melt the frozen gasoline. Not quite Darwin Award, still dumb. A patient I was involved in caring for decided to see if he could fix the noise in his running lawnmower by putting his fingers under the guard to clear the blockage. A few cuts later, that didn't work. Decided to try it again. Lost 2 fingers. Lost 2 fingers. I think that's literally the picture they warn you with. EMT here. Encountered a man who decided his electric bill was too high so he turned off all the heat in his house. Giant snowstorm came and dumped about 3 feet of snow in less than 2 days. Dude thought he might have frostbite on his toes. He did, actually. So to warm himself up he drank an entire gallon of antifreeze. Apparently the name is misleading. He thought it would unfreeze him, put himself into acute renal failure and spend 6 weeks getting inpatient dialysis, among other things, before he was released. How the heck do you survive drinking a gallon of antifreeze? One of my patients, male, in his 30s, tried to follow a healthy trend and made a medium rare chicken recipe. Results: severe amoebic dysentery and colitis, almost resulting in bowel perforation. Everybody always makes fun of Gordon Ramsay bellowing it's F-king raw, but things like this is exactly why he flips his crap every time he sees an undercooked dish. Poorly prepared food can kill people. I see quite a lot of successful award winners, but one nominee stands out. You'd be surprised how many men jump out of a window during an argument with their wives. One guy did it but apparently forgot he lived on the 6th floor, landed on a bus, which partiality broke his fall, but then he fell off the bus and onto a spiked fence. The fence impaled him and get this, ripped open his scrotum and amputated 1 testicle. He was also disemboweled by another spike and shattered his spine and pelvis. He survived, but was paralyzed from the waist down, and he lost the other testicle when it got infected and had to be removed. He didn't have kids, so a true Darwin Award. Sometimes I think I could work EMT, blood and stuff doesn't really bother me, but then I read crap like this and nope right out of that idea. A guy arrived at the ER after he ate a few pounds of cherries without spitting the stones, so he had to be operated to get them out. The chief doctor came to see the x-ray while the man was being prepared for surgery and said good thing he didn't eat peaches. My mom used to work in a hospital. She used to tell us horror stories of patients. 2 that stood out in my head. 1. Person had a gastric sleeve operation and, to celebrate recovery, decided to drink loads of soda. They drank so much that the carbonation expanded their stomach to the point where the incision ruptured. 2. We had a massive ice storm one year and power was out for weeks. One family decided to keep warm by bringing their grill inside the house. All 4 family members had carbon monoxide poisoning. They were very lucky to survive. According to the doctor in my life, don't stick random stuff up your ass. We get these guys in the ER all the time and we hate having to fist them to get it out. Also, there's only so many times one can hear I fell on it without breaking composure. Anecdote from Navy corpsman attached to Marines. Marine goes to the admin medic on duty. Doc, what's bothering you, Marine? Marine 1. I have a scorpion sting. Doc, okay. Where? Marine 1. On my nutsack. Doc, okay. Have a seat over there. Next. What brings you here, Marine? Marine 2. I have a scorpion sting. Doc, ooh okay. Where? Marine 2. On my nutsack. Doc, hold on, you other Marine. Come here. Marine 1. Yes doc. Doc, you both have scorpion stings? Marine 1. Roger doc. Doc, on your nuts? Marine 2. Roger doc. Doc, why? Marine 1. We were bored, and I had caught a scorpion earlier. We had a contest to see who could get stung in the nuts the most without quitting. Marine 2. Beaming with pride. I won. I remember when I was in the army, 2 guys in my unit had a fart lighting contest. Not in secret, mind you, right in the middle of the hall in the admin building. The winner literally caught the ass of his BDUs on fire and ended up with burns on his taint and balls. He was also dating my sister at the time, so I made sure to tell her the story. The one that is a near miss I can think of off the top of my head: modded the electronics on a vape, causing the lithium battery to explode in the right front pocket of his pants, resulting in an extremely severe burn about 1 to 1.5 feet in diameter, and burnt his hand completely below the wrist since it was in his pocket. Had his pants been a little baggier or his pocket been a little deeper, his boys would have been thoroughly roasted and or detached. Sounds like a guy was using a mech mod. Luckily, those things are becoming more rare each day. I was a scribe in the air. We saw a patient who had been drinking and started to feel nauseated while in the car. Her daughter, who was driving, said something like, "You better not throw up in my car." So this lady, who apparently wasn't wearing a seatbelt, had the great idea to open the door while on the highway to throw up. Ha, my drunkle pulled one of those. Getting a lift home from a mate after a night on the P and just got out the car because he needed a slash while it was moving. I volunteered at a hospital, and while on a duty a guy was brought in by 5 cops. The genius attempted to rob the school where cops get trained for guns. If you've ever seen one, you've noticed all the guns are bright red and made of rubber. He parked a van up against the building and cut the wire cover off the window. When that didn't work, he walked along the top of the fence with his hands on the wall trying to get to an overhang. He was spotted, and while the guns may be fake, the dog wasn't. Must have been some great exercise for the trainees. I had this one idiot who punched through a glass coffee table cause his stupid football team won the Super Bowl. Mother ruined my night. Freaking hand was a pain in the ass to stitch. To top it off, his GF was there and totally freaked out by the incident, thus she wanted to break up with him. And this guy became an emotional wreck and started crying when he realized he kept leaving the room to talk to his girl or calling her on the phone while I'm trying to take care of him. On top of that, he had to repeatedly get raised because despite washing his hand there was still glass remaining, and he was extremely impatient due to this. At one point he wanted to walk out, hand fricked up and all. I didn't care if he left. I had other patients to worry about. His GF however convinced him to stay. I have never met an idiot of that degree in my life, and I hope I never meet him again. He deserves the Darwin Award. Dang this thread for making me remember him. We called a guy and told him to come in yesterday afternoon because his routine blood tests before clinic were extremely abnormal and we needed to start him on urgent treatment. He didn't come in until today because it was raining yesterday. He's now very unwell. Also, when I was working in the ED, had a guy get really high on ice with his girlfriend and made her use a screwdriver to pleasure his prostate. It not only got stuck up there because she was using it handle first, but perforated his bowel and he had to have surgery. Have a couple. 1. Guy came in with his dong in a beer bottle. Apparently he fell on it and then got hard so he couldn't get it out. K. Sure buddy. 2. Drank bleach on a dare. Genius friend gave him an alkaline. Can't remember what. Thing is, when you neutralize acids with alkaline, there's heat. A lot of heat. Burns along the esophagus if I recall correctly. 3. Had a urinary catheter inside. Basically a tube inside the penis to drain urine. He didn't like it or the hospital tried to pull it out. To keep the catheter inside, we inflate the tip with water. He was very quiet after trying to pull it out. 4. Heard about this one. Tried to make a big custom firecracker but emptying gunpowder from smaller fireworks firecrackers into a container. Sure, that's one big explosive, but let's compress it more to fit more boom into it. I think he kept the arm. I had a guy get voluntarily defibrillated. Let's just say he was a Mountain Dew type of guy and he probably isn't long for this world anyway. Our conversation yielded some comical answers for all the wrong reasons. Me. I swallowed a pin and while it was in the back of my throat I had 2 choices. Cough it up and risk scratch my throat, or swallow it and let my stomach acid disintegrate it. Had to get surgery. On the bright side, maybe now you won't put pins in your mouth. Had a gentleman shoot up H while on the job at a construction site. Apparently started falling asleep and propped his head up with the business end of a nail gun, with his finger in the trigger. Survived, relatively unharmed, save the 3-4 inch nail that extended from under his jaw upwards into his mouth. Successfully removed in surgery. Not a doctor, there was a corpsman in the military. One of the Marines attached to my unit approached me one day and wanted me to personally circumcise him. He didn't trust any of the doctors. Nurse, I had a rem addict come in after he and his buddy tried to make homemade landmines with pipes and gunpowder to protect his weed grow. The landmine blew up in his hand. This is one of the few cases where I think he deserved it. Like, you're growing this stuff outside. I'm guessing the M-heads don't own their own property. Some kids might trip that trap. Someone cleaning up litter, or some law enforcement just doing their freaking job. I was in Middle Tennessee, Cookeville, Crossville, working M's. Only been out there 6 months, so I was very unfamiliar with the area and the kinds of people that inhabited the towns. My bus gets dispatched to chemical burns at Walmart. Upon arrival we enter the store and I asked the manager that was waiting for us, "Where is the pool section?" Being from Florida, I assumed some dum-dums were messing around with the pool cleaning products. He looked at me very confused and responded without at the end of the parking lot. My partner and I hop back in the ambulance and drive to the back corner where we see a 4-door sedan with the trunk open. 2 white males slumped over, one on the ground with his back against the back tire and the other laying head first out of the back seat. I smelled something very odd as soon as my door was opened. Stepped out, and before I took my first step my partner says, "Get back in the bus now." Turns out there too were cooking M in the trunk of their car and it exploded. Partner called hazmat and they took it from there. From my doctor uncle who heard it down the grapevine. He works upstairs. A guy came in because he decided to snort pure capsaicin. He actually died. I'm very convinced he would have won a Darwin Award if his family applied to him. Myself, honestly, I got put under with an IV and afterwards they tried to help me into a wheelchair. Frick that, I don't need a chair. I slurred as I ate crap. Well, look on the bright side, that was probably hilarious to watch. Today I had a patient with a head injury having fallen out of a tree. He was trying to climb said tree to fetch his shoe. After he made a sober bet he could throw his own shoe over the tree. Dude was in his 40s. He lost the bet, his shoe, and won a concussion. Climbing trees is fun, even as an adult. In fact, it's one thing I miss most about being a kid. My brother is a A&E doctor and has some good stories. He once had a lady come in who had had a cucumber shoved so hard up her bottom that it had broken through the wall of the lower intestine and disappeared into her abdominal cavity. When she turned up to hospital in a lot of pain, it was essentially floating up by her liver. She needed surgery to remove it and to try to salvage her lower bowel, which was only partially successful. She apparently insisted throughout that it was entirely consensual, and she was enjoying it until her partner slipped. The best bit, it was their first Tinder date. No. My dad isn't a nurse. His favorite quote from a lady is, "My foot hurt, so I shot it." She had indeed shot herself in the foot. Story from my mom, who was a nurse practitioner. A man came in with his penis stuck in a mini grill. Apparently him and his wife were doing some ultra kinky crap, and when circulation cut off to his penis, the end of it that was stuck in the grill inflated to the size of a water balloon, so they had to saw the grill off. We had a 16-year-old put a NuvaRing birth control ring around her wrist. Should be inserted intravaginally. I for one was impressed that she got it to fit around her wrist. It's so small. Had a man in his late 60s present with no bowel movement in 7 days. You know this is going to be bad. Expected impacted bowel. It was impacted alright. Radiology showed an inverted 12 ounces by glass in his bowel. Wanted a smoke. Leant over the hob to light up with oxygen running through a mask round his neck. Brought in without eyebrows. This happens fairly often. Put Vaseline in the microwave to melt it and injected that into his penis to enlarge it. Did this a few times before it went purple. Out of the ED there was this couple I saw that were having trouble conceiving. Turned out the guy was ejaculating into her belly button because that's where the baby goes. They win. No genes were being passed on that way. I'm only an EMT, but it's the same story as in a doctor. A guy standing on a ladder trimming his tree with a weed whacker. Great learning experience when I as a new EMT because he had virtually every kind of skin injury you can imagine. You've been visited by the banana guardian. He will protect you and all of your bananas, but only if you comment "protect us mighty doggo." If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.